It was a quiet Thursday evening when the Marquis sat down to reminisce upon portraitures and phonographs of the early days of yore, when suddenly it appeared, an apparition, a spectre. The apparition clearly wanted the Marquis to reflect upon the whimsical story of Ghost, a romantic film from the early days of yore. But the Marquis knew better. Ghost clearly wasn't the whimsical tale that the spectre remembered, and the Marquis could prove it with this film.
Hi everyone, welcome to Videoboys Reviews. We just saw Ghost. Let's talk about the movie Ghost. Matt, what is the movie Ghost about?
Ghost is a movie about a man, Patrick Swayze, who has the perfect life, and he's dating Demi Moore, and he has a fantastic apartment and a high-paying job. Everything is going right for him for about 30 minutes, but then he gets murdered and becomes a ghost.
Thank you, Matt. Grant, since you picked this movie for us, what?
The first 30 minutes are obnoxiously optimistic. You just know he's going to die, and you just keep waiting for him to get killed so he can do ghost stuff. Just turn into a ghost already. We get it. Everything is great. Turn into a ghost.
Yeah, Grant, I got the feeling the whole movie, except for certain scenes, which I will point out, but you guys all agree that certain parts drag too much? Talk about it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of the Whoopi Goldberg stuff dragged on too long.
Hey, that's one part I like,
He
man.
didn't need Whoopi Goldberg at all because he had powers.
Yeah, he could have ended the movie a lot sooner.
Yeah, it should be pointed out that Patrick Swayze has the ability to move objects and the ability to inhabit people for certain periods of time.
It took him too long to figure out how to do it, though.
Alright, well, let's go back a minute, because he didn't always have the ability to move objects. He encounters a ghost who is very violent towards him, and he notices that ghost can break glass.
Yeah.
And all of us were kind of yelling at this movie to, learn how to touch things from this crazy glass-breaking ghost to be like your ghost mentor.
Yeah.
And then he just doesn't do that for, a good 30 minutes.
Yeah. He doesn't even give it a second thought. Like, he doesn't even consider
Yes,
that.
and it should be pointed out, all four of us were yelling at the screen during all 30 of these minutes that he should go to the
back
ghost.
to the ghost from before and make him teach you how to break things.
All right. Well, that is one part of the movie that I absolutely loved. This mentor ghost is played by Vincent Chiavelli, and he's this actor who's always plays like these eccentric characters, and he was awesome. I think one major drawback to this movie is that Patrick Swayze is his character is unbelievably bland.
Yeah.
But his facial expressions are hilarious.
Oh, yes. There's so many surprising situations he gets into, and they just hang the reaction shot at him for 20 seconds.
He's got when his reaction is weird, he has like this big stupid expression on his face.
He looks like a big dumb idiot.
It keeps changing too. It's like one dumb expression morphs into another. It just keeps going. You get like 6 or 7 of them.
And instead of just using his ghost powers to solve the problem, he just stands there like an idiot with a stupid expression on his face.
So there were like 5 or 6 things we were yelling at the movie about. During the first 30 minutes, we were yelling at the movie, just die already. And then during the second group of scenes, we're like, go to that mentor guy who can break glass, learn his powers, and then he doesn't do that for 30 minutes. And then afterwards, it's like,
use the powers that you now have.
Yes.
He doesn't use them. All he does is follow his girlfriend around and like mope about how he can't touch her and stuff.
Yeah.
When instead there are killers who are after his girlfriend. And he doesn't use his powers to protect her.
Yeah, like how he does this big elaborate plan to like steal money or something.
Yes, and then he uses Whoopi Goldberg to have this stupid plan to steal money from the criminals, by withdrawing from the criminal's bank account
They
with
have a-
Whoopi Goldberg using a fake ID, and it's just ridiculous.
They have a hilarious like comedy sequences where Whoopi Goldberg is replying to things that he's saying and confusing the bank people because he's invisible and no one can hear him except Whoopi Goldberg.
But he shouldn't be concerned about whether or not the criminals have money. He should be concerned about the fact that they have guns and are trying to get to his girlfriend.
Speaking of Whoopi Goldberg, I think she was one of the handful of actors that wasn't severely miscast as she was perfect as the eccentric fortune teller who's just wacky.
Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore were quite bland, though.
Oh yeah. There's a scene where like he's like massaging her like while she's doing the pottery thing. And,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a famous scene. Everyone's familiar with that. It's like they think ghost. They think, oh, he's a ghost. He's helping her shape the pottery thing.
But he's not a ghost in that part. That's back when he's alive. That scene really didn't have anything to do with the movie.
And it completely ruined the movie for all of us, I believe. And then
Let's go over all the different ways he could have possibly thwarted the villains much earlier than he did in the film.
Matt, why don't you start with one of your ideas?
Let's all go around and list
All right.
one way.
So you could come up with a whole bunch of loopholes, like, oh, maybe he can't punch people. Of course, we learned that later he can punch people, but
Yes.
like, okay, let's just assume he has all his limitations that he has when he first learns to touch things. We see him like knocking over shoes and flicking things and hitting things. So he should just go up to the bad guy and use his thumb to poke out the bad guy's eyes. and then, plot resolved, right?
Yeah.
The bad guy's not going to, transfer the money to the drug dealers and kill his girlfriend, like, without eyes in the next couple hours, which is all he has.
Yeah, and there's a part where the bad guy's like, if you keep messing with me, I'm gonna stab your girlfriend. I'm gonna stab Demi Moore, and at that point, hey, I'm gonna grab the knife away and stab you with that
Right,
knife.
but he doesn't even. He makes the threat, I'm gonna stab your girl, and he just leaves. And then,
but then
Patrick
Demi Moore
Swayze
could
doesn't
have gotten in
confront him.
trouble, like.
Yeah.
Instead of following the criminal, he stays with his girlfriend. Even though he's a ghost, he can punch him. So why not just repeatedly keep punching him over and over again? The guy can't defend himself, and if none of his loved ones are near him, then he can't also threaten someone he cares about while he's being punched.
Yeah, like while he's on a toilet or
Like
something.
you could put the bad guy in some sort of living hell where he's just always being punched at all times of his life, and there's nothing he can ever do about it.
Yeah, one thing that would be just as fun as that is, since we learned that Patrick Swayze is able to inhabit people, he can just inhabit random people and have them punch him when the guy's just walking in the street.
Right. In fact, why doesn't he inhabit the bad guy?
Yeah.
And make him jump off a building or something?
Yeah.
Make him stab himself.
Right, and we also talked about inhabit a cop and just shoot him.
Yeah.
And then
There's so many ways.
And he could say like that was for Sam afterward.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That would be the famous line of the movie. Instead
Not to
of
mention
ditto.
that he could just take a pen and write notes to his girlfriend and everything. He doesn't even need Whoopi Goldberg to speak for him.
He doesn't even have to write it.
They
He can just
gave him-
type it on the computer.
They gave him so many powers that there's really no reason why there should be any conflict in this film at this point once he has learned to utilize all these powers.
Yeah. And he could have learned those powers even earlier in the movie, but...
Right.
He didn't go to the train guy, even though he saw the train guy break glass with his fist. Can we talk about how after he kills
destroyed his business.
after he kills the two bad guys, we don't have some kind of cool ghost fight, which we should have. We're like, oh no, the bad guy's a ghost now too. Now they're both gonna have a ghost fight, and then they don't.
Yeah, these demons come out and they take the bad guys away. But how come angels didn't take Patrick Swayze away immediately after he died? I know there's this thing. It's like
so
you have to resolve
unsatisfying.
your things or whatever.
That would have been a great climax, because first he's like, oh, he's omnipotent, the bad guy stands no chance, but now the bad guy's a ghost too. Now they can have a ghost battle, but they don't.
I think that'd be a cool side plot where he teaches that other ghost how to smoke.
Oh, the train ghost story is that he wishes he could smoke, but he can't.
Yeah.
But we just never see him again, so his story is never resolved.
Yeah, I would have been so much more invested and loved the movie more if the whole movie was about that guy.
Yeah, he was cool.
And then just all the romance was just so lame. It just dragged on
Well-
forever. The movie could have been so much shorter if they just made it about cool ghost battles and stuff.
Well, see, guys.
It was so corny and so cheesy and ditto. You know.
Oh yeah, that's
it
my
was-
favorite line of the movie.
It was so horrible. Like the ghost battles and stuff were like the cool parts, but there weren't enough of them. There were just all these scenes where the plot was just temporarily stopped because Whoopi Goldberg would all of a sudden refuse to help him anymore. That he has to like convince her to help him.
Yeah, and then the
again.
girlfriend doesn't believe it again.
Even
Oh,
though
yeah,
earlier
let's
she did
convince her
believe it, but now
twice.
she doesn't
Yeah.
again.
We get a lecture from a cop about how con artists who pretend that ghosts exist operate.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, I get it.
And then
It doesn't-
Whoopi Goldberg doesn't
Yeah,
want to help him for
filler.
some reason. Like,
Yeah.
So much filler. Just make stuff happen. Make the movie cool. And then the main villains were drug dealers, and we never even got to see the drug dealers.
That's true.
Like,
And
why
was
didn't he
it
take down their
drugs?
drug ring
Like,
or
was-
something like that?
Yeah, it could have been
They're just
even more.
their voices over a telephone. We hear them sometimes.
Well, see, well, I think
Maybe that's for the sequel.
we're trying to.
was that why the bad guy was so bad? He was like on drugs the whole time.
Sure. Yeah.
We don't
why not?
know. It wasn't.
He looks like he's on
explained.
drugs in the last few scenes. But I think we're trying to change the genre of this movie. Like the drug thing
Like
could
sci-fi or
be, it'd
something.
be like a crime movie, and then Ghost Battles is like a fantasy movie, and then him stabbing the bad guy in the face, that's like another crime movie, and
Yeah, like
this is a quirky romance.
it's
guys.
not a romance movie. The romance parts were the worst part, but there was a lot of cool potential in the other ghost stuff. They just
They
didn't
could
do
have
it.
just been a bit more creative. With,
They could have been, yeah.
You know, what about that scene where he like possesses Whoopi Goldberg? Whoopi Goldberg's
Oh.
like,
Oh yeah.
Oh, and then Demi Moore has to dance with Whoopi Goldberg, who's inhabited by Patrick Swayze, and I think the filmmakers cut something away from us because we could have seen.
I mean, the film
Demi
could have
Moore.
taken a really weird turn right there. Like,
yeah.
So there's this whole romantic scene that's just Demi Moore and Whoopi Goldberg.
And then what was stupid about that scene is they established that the criminal's on their way to their home.
Yeah.
So then he uses his ghost powers to take over Whoopi Goldberg's body to dance with his girlfriend while the criminal's on his way there.
Yeah.
And then when the criminal gets there, they show that he's now exhausted his ghost powers and doesn't have any powers to stop the criminal
Yeah,
because
he used up like all his mana possessing Whoopi
he
Goldberg.
used up all his mana just so he could dance.
And he knows
when he knew the
this.
criminal
knows
was
this.
coming, why would you
No,
use up your abilities?
And he knows his abilities will be used up because he saw the same thing happen to a guy who possessed Whoopi Goldberg earlier in the
Yes.
film.
Yes, it's
oh
true.
my gosh, what an idiot.
Well, guys,
No,
you have any more?
and you called it. You called the plot like in advance.
Oh yeah, like literally
That was pretty good.
as soon as they showed the best friend, and that was like a minute into the movie, I was like, that guy's the bad guy.
I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah.
The way he kind of goes crazy at the end, I think, is really neat. Just on the edge of sanity. And I love how it's written where he is starting to think that ghosts are real because Patrick Swayze is messing with him.
Yeah.
But then, like, instead of just going crazy, he just
Yeah.
runs with it because he's so scared the drug dealers are going to kill him that he's just like, he picks up a knife and he has no idea if Patrick Swayze can hear him or whatever. He can't communicate
He's like
with him.
threatening him.
But he just
Yeah.
like starts threatening it, like if you don't give me the money that I need, I'm going to kill your wife. Like
Yeah.
he just goes right along with it. Like, okay, ghost exists. This is what I need to do. I need to be threatening this ghost right now. What kind of movie is this? I'm confused.
It's definitely not a lighthearted romantic comedy, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think we all want this movie to be something that it wasn't intended to be, but it implied it could have been. Thank you, everyone, for listening to our review and watching. I'm Kenneth.
David.
Matt?
And I'm Grant.
Well, this is Video Boys Reviews. Thank you for watching.